Hi,
Hi,
Robin. How are
Rachel.
you?
Hi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. So, to start, what I really enjoyed about especially the first episode of this show, because obviously it's heavier as the series goes on, but in those first few moments, we really get to see this family and kind of the bond they have and the love they have for each other before World War II kind of gets them and affects them as a family. For you, how important was it to build out those relationships so when we get to kind of start to see the change in the world, we see just how much it has affected that family?
I think it's essential that the story start just where it does in a time of relative abundance and harmony and uh, normalcy and to watch the journey starting at that point. It's a reminder that in some sense this could happen to anyone, and
Mhm.
then an audience is let in to take the ride with the characters. It's a way that we can enter in familiar territory, somewhat familiar territory. Those of us who have loving families anyway, are lucky enough to have loving families, can enter in a place we understand, loving family at holiday time, happy to be reunited with each other at holiday time. That's a place we can all touch. And the kids are all at a time in their life where everything is full of possibility, hope, and that version of anxiety that's unavoidable in the course of growing up. What will it be? Will I find true love? Will I achieve my potential in my career? All of that is what's alive in them, and those familiar sort of tensions and anxieties that are so wonderfully part of the fabric of everyday life. And then to see what happens when the landscape totally changes around them and the challenges coming at them, one after the other, seem ever more insurmountable, and to see the way that they grow in response to that adversity is, I think, one of the joys of the series as a whole. It doesn't just march them from that starting point
Mhm.
into a kind of grim tale of death and loss and destruction. You watch them challenge, and you also watch them rise to the challenge in ways that are truly, I think, inspiring. So,
Yeah, and I
yeah,
watching it, I do, there's that looming feeling, especially from an audience point of view, where we see the dates change and we see the
yeah.
years and we kind of know like, okay, well, it's 1939. That's when Hitler invaded Poland. Like we know as the audience what's going to happen. But when you as an actor have to kind of shut that out because you're playing a character who is living in it and doesn't know, what is your approach to kind of mapping out those emotions and that fear as the character versus like what you as a human in the 21st century kind of know what happens?
Well, there's a very specific kind of denial for Nehuma because they
Mhm.
lived through the First World War, which they call the Great War because they don't know it's the first of two.
Yeah.
So they call the First World War the Great War. But they found they were so resourceful during that very, very difficult time when they had a young baby Gnek and the little ones, and they rose to the occasion in the First World War in a way that has perhaps made them even more certain that whatever may come, they're going to find a way through. And Helena uh, is able to call them out on it and say, "Why did you stay?" It's so specific, in other words, to each character. And I think my character uh, has learned a lesson about herself that she's about to relearn in a different way
Mhm.
from that First World War. Um, they're both more terrified because they've lived through something awful before, but also more assured of their resilience because they did and rebuilt their business and that everything was decimated and
Mhm.
destroyed, and then somehow now they've built it back up again, and they've got a thriving business. This husband and wife, they're clothing and materials are selling, and they're considered the top vendors of this in the city practically, and everything is going well for them because they worked hard, they had this work ethic, and they applied themselves. And so there's every reason from Nakuma's perspective to believe that whatever difficulty may come, they're going to find a way. And
Yeah.
indeed, in remarkable ways they do, but it is so much worse than anybody is foreseeing at the time we start.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Thank you so much for talking with me today. I really appreciate it. And I can't
thank
wait for
you.
people to get to see the series.
Yeah, can't wait. Thank you. Thank you
Thank
very
you. Have
much.
a great one.
Okay.